Today I'd like to discuss the technical and design aspects behind my recent image, Gaia. I also want to show everyone that you don't need the latest and greatest equipment in order to produce a pretty impressive image. So let's talk about the technical information. This image was captured on a Nikon 7500 through a 35mm portrait lens. The shutter speed was at 100th of a second, and the aperture was set to f14. I used a Paul C. Buff Alienbees B800 unit in a butterfly position, slightly above head. I used an off-brand trigger, which worked just fine, and the information will be in the description below. On my Alienbees unit, I used an off-brand Octabox. When I received my Octabox in the mail, it didn't come with a skirt in the back. So I actually covered the back end with aluminum foil, and it works, to say the least. Now let's talk about design. Building Gaia was a lot more involved than taking the shot. It took me probably about 2 weeks to finalize the look. That's including the costume and the hair sculpture. Sometimes to get ideas, I'll get a Barbie doll and some clay, and I'll sculpt a costume onto the Barbie doll. This is where it began. So to create Gaia, I started with a spandex material I got from Joann's Fabric. I sewed together a basic fitted tube dress. Then I got some green yarn and braided until I had a buttload of vines. I braided and braided and braided and braided. I built this little vine pattern onto the dress, one by one, hot gluing it on. I did not expect to go so crazy on the leaves, but I did. Now to build a lot of my corsets, I will go to Harbor Freight and get a whole roll of EVA foam, but it's a lot thicker. So for the leaves, I needed something much thinner. The leaves started out with some EVA foam sheets that I got from Walmart, and I cut out my leaf templates and used those to produce all of the leaves. I can't tell you how many leaves I made, hundreds of leaves. After cutting out the shapes of the leaves, I needed to give them some body. So I got a heat gun, and I heated each leaf up one by one, and I would sort of pinch it to create this natural sort of leaf shape. After shaping the leaves, I sprayed them with Plastidip. You want to do this with your foam creations before spray painting them, because if you don't, the foam will absorb the paint and it'll look kind of dull and dingy. So after spraying with Plastidip, I sprayed the leaves with my preferred leaf color, and then carefully placed them one by one, starting from the rib cage up, all the way to the top of the head. After shaping the breast pieces, I used a wood burner to carve in the seed divots, and then I sprayed the piece with Plastidip and then with a brown color to look sort of like an old seed pod. Now, my hair sculpture didn't turn out exactly how I had planned for it to, but it worked. As you can see here, I had created a sort of spot for it to go onto my head, and I planned to build hair around it so that the flower would sit up, but this just didn't want to work. It's very heavy. I tried wearing it like this first, and then I decided to turn it around and bend these around my head, and it looked really cool. Each one of these petals is made from just this wire that you see here. It's pretty easily bendable, but it's still sturdy enough to have a little bit of integrity. I made just a petal shape. As you can see, these are bendable, moldable. I took some yak hair and I would hot glue little extension pieces by enclosing each end with cardboard strips. I would glue each strip to my wire base and slowly wove this hair into this pattern. After that, I braided a big portion of the hair and used that to cover all of my little tracks underneath here. And then I fastened them. As you can see, it's definitely not perfect, but I fastened them to this little wire base. Ideally, I was going to have it sit up and be a pretty little flower, but it didn't want to be a pretty little flower. But that's pretty much it. If there's anything I left out that you'd like for me to elaborate on, please let me know in the comment section below. And if you like this video and you'd like to see more, hit the subscribe button to be informed about any new content.